2024 was an amazing year, and I have a lot to be thankful for. Like this beautiful January day in Spearfish Canyon, where the temperature dropped to 22 below zero, but made for some amazing photos. In 2024, I was fortunate to capture a few beautiful photos of the Northern Lights. The Black Hills of South Dakota have some amazing hiking trails, and these are just a few of my favorites. Harney Peak, also known as Black Elk Peak, is a popular trail located in Custer State Park. The trail is approximately 7 miles long with an elevation of 7,242 feet at the peak and 1,500 feet of elevation gain. Harney Peak is also the tallest peak east of the Rockies, all the way to the Pyrenees in Europe. Crow Peak is located just outside of Spearfish, South Dakota. It has an elevation of 5,742 feet with about 1,500 feet of elevation gain. The hill was named after a famous battle between the Crow and Sioux tribes, where the Sioux defeated the Crow and named the hill where the Crows were killed. Bear Butte is a 3-mile round-trip hike located just north of Sturgis. It's about 4,426 feet tall with about 1,000 feet of elevation gain. In the spring of 2024, I was able to travel to Arlington National Cemetery in Virginia and watch the changing of the guard at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. At nearly 2,200 miles long, the Appalachian Trail stretches from Springer Mountain in Georgia to Mount Katahdin in Maine. And the most photographed landmark on the trail is McAfeeknob in Virginia, where I'm hiking today. The short 8-mile round-trip hike to McAfeeknob gives hikers a good example of what trail life on the AT is like. For many hikers, having your photo taken on McAfeeknob is more than just a goal. It's a rite of passage. The 105-mile-long Skyline Drive runs the length of Shenandoah National Park, and there are 101 miles of Appalachian Trail located in Shenandoah National Park. So it's not a surprise that the Appalachian Trail crosses Skyline Drive at least 28 times. The small town of Harpers Ferry is located at the confluence of the Shenandoah River and Potomac River in West Virginia. The Appalachian Trail runs right through Harpers Ferry. It's the unofficial midpoint of the Appalachian Trail and home of the Appalachian Trail Conservancy, where you can take your photo in front of the ATC office. Harpers Ferry is also a history lover's playground, with the majority of the town being located in a National Historic District and several of the buildings being maintained by the National Park Service. Before flying home, I had to make a quick stop to see R2-D2 and C-3PO in Washington, D.C., then enjoy a fresh lobster roll at Legal Seafoods just before boarding the plane. I was feeling a little nostalgic when I arrived in Boston, so after picking up my rental car, I immediately drove to Cheers, where I enjoyed fish and chips for dinner after a long day of traveling. Good morning. Today I'm in the beautiful New England city of Boston, Massachusetts, and despite the cool spring morning, I'm going to be out exploring the city on the Freedom Trail. The 2.5-mile long Freedom Trail is marked with red brick and red painted lines that take you to at least 16 historic sites throughout the city. The trail begins at Boston Common and ends at the USS Constitution. At the Granary Burial Ground, you'll find the tombstones of famous people like Paul Revere and Sam Adams. Quincy Market is a good location to grab a quick bite to eat, but it is pretty touristy and feels like a giant food court. That is, if your food court offers lobster rolls. The Old North Church is where 2 lanterns were used to signal that the British Army was traveling to Concord and Lexington by sea. While visiting Boston's North End, you must stop by Modern Pastry, a family-run Italian bakery with delicious desserts. My favorite was the fresh-made cheesecake. At Copp's Hill Burying Ground, you may notice headstones with bullet holes made by British soldiers using them for target practice during the American Revolution. Located in Charleston Navy Yard, the USS Constitution is the oldest ship in the United States Navy and the world's oldest commissioned warship afloat. The USS Constitution is nicknamed Old Ironsides after a British sailor saw cannonballs bounce off the ship's oak hull. During the War of 1812, Old Ironsides was armed with a total of 52 cannons and defeated 5 British warships. I can only imagine how tough life on the USS Constitution may have been, especially for anyone over 5 foot 2 inches tall. The Battle of Bunker Hill was actually fought on Breed's Hill on June 17, 1775. The British won the battle, but it was at a high cost, with 1,054 British casualties compared to 450 colonials. Today I'm standing in Lexington, Massachusetts. This is the site of Lexington Green. This is where the Minutemen were standing, waiting for the British to come into their town. It's also the site where Captain Parker said those famous words, "Stand your ground, don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have war, let it begin here." Walking around such an important spot in American history makes you think about where our country is today and where we came from. You're walking around the battle green where people fought and died. These were locals. These were the Minutemen that were prepared to defend their homes, defend their businesses, defend their families, and their livelihood. Today, it seems like America needs to be reminded of things like that. some dedication, some commitment. People seem to have lost out with. Coming to places like this makes it a whole lot easier to remember. It's a cold, wet morning at Lexington Green on April 19th, 1775. You are a colonial Minuteman taking refuge from the weather inside Buckman's Tavern. As you look through the window, you see the lead element of the British regulars coming down the road. Then the alarm bells sound. So you rush to your post and hear Captain Parker those now famous words: "Stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon. But if they mean to have a war, let it begin here." On April 19th, 1775, General Gage sent British troops from Boston to seize gunpowder and firearms in Concord. As the British troops reached the North Bridge, they were met by colonial militia and Minutemen, determined to defend their homes and supplies. Nobody knows who fired the first shot. The shot heard round the world. This brief exchange of gunfire resulted in the British retreating to Boston and the colonials earning their first victory. This battle and the shot heard round the world became a symbol of American resistance and a rallying cry for independence. The Minuteman statue stands guard on hallowed ground near the spot where the first colonial militia were killed fighting for our freedom. Today, the Minuteman stands as a reminder that our freedoms must be fought for and to never take them for granted. During this trip, I was able to spend a little time up in Vermont, checking out some old covered bridges. South Dakota is home to 2 national parks, including Badlands National Park. It has a few beautiful trails like the Notch Trail, but beware of snakes as they are common in this area. One of my favorite things to do each summer is to watch baseball with family and friends, including our local team, the Spearfish Sasquatch. And can you really call yourself an American if you don't go to a rodeo once in a while? Independence Day is a big deal in my family. It's almost bigger than Christmas. We start with a very patriotic small town parade, followed by a quick lunch. Then we build a launch pad and prepare tons of fireworks. Eventually, everyone gathers to eat and hang out while we're waiting for the sun to go down. As it begins to get dark, we light the campfire, and then the fireworks begin. This summer, my nephew and I discovered a new hobby, axe throwing. So we decided to build our own target, and it worked out pretty good for our first try. Nothing says summer like relaxing by a campfire. The Black Hills are surrounded by some amazing places, like Devil's Tower National Monument and Devil's Bathtub in Spearfish Canyon.
Why am I doing this again?
Fall is a special time in the Black Hills. The aspen leaves change color, the air gets crisp, and everything seems quiet and peaceful. One of our family traditions is making tamales each year for Thanksgiving and Christmas. And this year, my niece used the leftovers to make Masa Man and his Masa family. One of my favorite family traditions is going out to the Black Hills National Forest and cutting down a Christmas tree. In December, I was invited to fly down to Kentucky and was able to stay at the beautiful Mustard Seed Hill. During my stay, I was able to go on a tour of the beautiful Claiborne Farms, home of Secretariat, the famous racehorse. I also had the pleasure of visiting the famous Keeneland racetrack. And I couldn't visit Lexington, Kentucky without stopping at Goodfellas Pizzeria and my daughter's favorite, Crank and Boom Ice Cream. As the year was about to come to an end, I wanted to take one more hike up to the famous Poetstable, one of the few remaining secret hiking trails in the Black Hills. As I wrap up this 2024 year in review video with a few photos from Christmas, it's become very clear to me that I have a lot to be thankful for this year. God has blessed me with far more than I could ever deserve. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching.